Hi guys, today is February 28th, 2020. Futures are down on the renewed fears of coronavirus, and after 4 days of selling, looks like selling has not subsided yet, and it's going to continue a little bit. But I'd like to take a moment to address the coronavirus situation, because a lot of people think it's another zombie apocalypse and that everybody is going to die. But in general, I mean, I've read a lot of papers on this, and pretty much reading 2-3 papers a day for the last 60 days, and a lot of scientific papers. And looks like coronavirus is just very similar to a flu, and different viruses though, but same symptoms. And in short, it's more contagious, looks like, than the flu, but there is a lot less chance to develop complications from coronavirus than, for example, from flu. Okay, so for example, 80% of cases in China were pretty much people went well after just a few days, but about 4% were developed complications, and pretty much people with pre-existing conditions, older people with weaker immune systems, just to keep the perspective in general. In US, there are only 60 confirmed cases of coronavirus at this point, and 0 death. Okay, so despite what the media tells you, this is just the facts of matter. Okay, so by the way, I will have in a few days I will have some video that will discuss 10 dividend stocks, high dividend stocks that are good to hold in this environment, about over 5%, that yielding over 5%, some of them yielding over 10%. And they pretty much outperform S&P 500 in the last 5 years. Okay, so let's jump into stocks, and the first stock I want to discuss is SPY. Is the ETF for S&P 500, and looks like it's going lower again at it's opening at 292, looks like. Okay, so I haven't seen this before. I think I've seen it in 2008 when the SPY RSI was about 18, 19, and this is happening right now, that RSI will be like 18, 19, maybe even 17. So this is very, very low. Okay, so this is like full-fledged panic. And I think this dip should be bought, not sold. So if you're selling your long-term positions on this dip, it's a mistake. I would not advise to do this, but I think it may. It will open lower, but it may come back a little bit in the afternoon. But before the end of the day, because it's Friday and the weekend is coming. Half an hour before the close, people will try to take some chips off the table before the weekend, pretty much. Okay, so but in general, it's a dip that should be bought, in my opinion. Okay, so on other stocks in the news is Beyond Meat reported not so bad earnings. I was actually surprised, because they reported that they lost 1 cent, and they were expecting to earn 1 cent, but they tripled their revenue, and they beat on revenue by like 25%. They were expecting to show like 79.5 million, and they sold for 98.5 million or something like that. So it's a huge beat on the revenue, and I'm very optimistic about the stock, and I think it could be bought in this dip. It's opening like $91, and I think it's a good pickup here. Okay. Another stock that's in the news is Foot Locker. Foot Locker reported not so bad earnings, but it's not so huge earnings. But I mean, they definitely beat, and but they will be considered as a defensive play pretty much. And I think something is, it's a play that could be bought just to hide from this craziness that's going on right now on the markets. Okay. So speaking of craziness, there are some stocks that I want to mention that are considered pretty much insulated from the coronavirus because it's a stay-at-home stocks. So for example, stocks like Facebook, FB symbol, Twitter, okay, even though they're lower, but it's a pretty good pickup because this is, like I said, this is stay-at-home stocks, and they're pretty much less exposed to coronavirus problems. Okay, Twitter, Netflix, it's also lower, actually open a lower. Zoom Video, it's a pretty good communication. It's a video communication company, and it's opening actually higher because there are a lot less face-to-face meetings, and there are expected more video meetings and video conferencing. It's a video conferencing company. Okay, symbol ZM. Okay, so, and another company that I like to mention is Disney. Okay, so Disney came down a lot on the change of the CEO, and I think it's way too low for Disney right now. I mean, just like S&P 500 is trading like RSI, like 18, 19. I think it's a pretty good pickup, even though it's opening lower. I think it's really good pickup here. Okay, and other news is Wayfair reported earnings, not so good earnings, and I wouldn't pick up the stock, especially in this environment, symbol W. Okay. There are some stocks that related to the coronavirus fears, like stock symbol ALT, Altimmune. It's opening like 166% higher because they have reported the first development milestone toward single dose intranasal treatment of coronavirus. Okay, so this stock is higher significantly. I mean, it's not a bad pickup here. I would like it to come down a little bit, and I think it might come down a little bit actually on the open. Another stock that's up on the coronavirus fears a lot, that's AHPI, Allied Healthcare Products, and they're developing kits, medical supply, and respiratory devices. So this stock is up a lot pre-market. Okay, the stock that I like actually, but it's not connected to the coronavirus, but SGMO, Sangamo Therapeutics. They reported collaboration with Biogen, and they also reported earnings and stock up pre-market. It's pretty good news, and pretty excited about this company. Okay, symbol SGMO. And on the coronavirus front, there are a couple of stocks, like I mentioned before, a couple of days. I've been mentioning these stocks for about a month. Moderna, that I like actually, it's opening lower and it could be a good pickup here. Symbol mRNA. Biotechnology, it's opening a lot higher, $65. I actually have a few hundred shares, and I think I'm gonna sell this because this is way too high, and I've been buying it in 20s. Okay, so, and another symbol is INO. Actually, INO is not too bad. I think it could be bought under $5. It's a good pickup, in my opinion. Sorry. And another company that reported earnings is TTD. Trade Desk reported really good earnings, very strong, and it's higher pre-market, but I think it may come down on this market sell-off. So wait for this market to take the stock down a little bit, and maybe you can pick up some shares. And another company that's in the news is DG, which is Dollar General. Okay, Dollar General was upgraded this morning, even though it's down. It's a little bit down pre-market, but it's a good pickup if it comes down. Okay, but in general, I like a lot of stocks like Apple, as AAPL, as Apple suppliers, Skyworks, SWKS, AMD, the data centers companies like AMD and Intel, okay, AMAT, All these companies are selling at a discount, and I think it could be picked up. But again, be careful, because at the end of the day will be some selling. People will be taking chips off the table, but in general, if you're a long-term gamer, this is a really good time to buy into this market. Okay, that's it, guys. That's the wrap for the day. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the like button, and I'll see you Monday.